Hi everyone, in this video we're going to walk through two more examples of applying transformations to trig functions. They're going to be our messiest. If you're feeling comfortable, these would be great examples to pause and try on your own and then check back in and see if you've got it. Okay, so this first one, I am thinking of starting with a cosine wave. It's going to go like this. This would normally be a 2 pi. And at negative 2 pi. Okay, and I see vertical stretch, which means my amplitude is going to end up being 12. So this one's pretty darn tall. It's going to go way up and way down and way up, more than that even. I also see, I think I'm going to skip around a little. I see shift down by 8. So my equilibrium is going to be at negative 8. So I'm going to start at negative 8. I'm going to go up and down 12. In the parentheses, I have to be a little bit careful. So when I look at that, I'm thinking, okay, I have a 1/3 x plus pi over 3, and I need to factor. So it's going to be a 1/3 times x plus, dividing by 1/3 is the same as multiplying by 3, so it's an x plus pi. Okay, so let's see here. Based on that, multiplying x by 1/3 is a horizontal stretch by 3. So my period is going to be 2 pi divided by 1/3, which ends up being 6 pi. 2 pi divided by 1/3, here, if you want to see that, 2 pi divided by 1/3 is the same as 2 pi multiplied by 3 over 1, which is 6 pi. And then I do have a phase shift. I want to shift, let's see, where am I? I want to shift to the left by pi, so I'm going to say minus pi is my phase shift. And I think I caught all of them. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so cosine wave, stretched out really tall, shifted down. Okay, so let's see if our bottom's at negative 8. I'm going to do this, and then we'll just make the scale to fit. So if we say this is negative 2, no, it's not going to give us enough room. So if this is negative 4, then this would be negative 8. I think that'll give us enough room. Negative 4, 8, and this is negative 12, 16, negative 20. Okay, so the middle vertical center is at negative 8. So I'm picturing this as being equilibrium. I have to go up and down 12 from there. So if I go up 12, I'm going to hit negative 8, 4. So this will be the top. And if I go down 12, I'm going to hit negative 20, which will be the bottom. Okay, so there's the vertical stuff. Horizontal stuff, I'm going to snag my typical y-intercept 0, 1. And I'm going to try and carefully walk through all of this. So if I start at 0, 1, vertical stretch is going to make it 0, 12. Let's see what's next. I didn't write them all down. Horizontal stretch is not actually going to affect that one. Tripling 0 is still 0. Left by pi makes it negative pi, 12. And then down 8 is negative pi 4. Okay, so negative pi 4. Okay, let me think about what I want. My period is 6 pi. So if I take 6 pi and divide it by 4, I get 3 pi over 2. So according to that, 3 pi over 2s are nice tick marks. And I'm shifting by pi, so you can maybe see how this gets to be a little messy. So if I do 3 pi over 2s, and I want them to fit in here to give me 2 periods. Okay, we'll just go for it, and we'll see if we can make the shift look right. So this is going to be a 3 pi over 2, and then we're going to go for 2 of those, which is 6 pi over 2, so this is 3 pi, and then we'll go for 3 of them, which is 9 pi over 2, and then 3 more is 12 pi over 2, so there's our 6 pi. Okay, so on this side, negative 3 pi and negative 6 pi. Okay, so let's see. We have negative pi 4. Okay, so here's what I wasn't loving about the negative 3 pi over 2. That's negative 1.5 pi's. So if we say this is negative 1/2, negative 1, so it's about 2/3 of the way over, so roughly here. So we'll just label that carefully. So that's a negative pi 4. So this is what I'm saying. If it doesn't fall nicely on your grid, just label for me. And then I can still use the quarter of a period business, but that's going to be sort of approximate. So that's a maximum. I don't have any choice but to head down from there. So if I go over 3 pi over 2, I should hit equilibrium. So that's 2 tick marks. So I'm just shy of this tick mark. So if I go over 1, 2 tick marks, I should be down to equilibrium. So that is, okay, if we're labeling one carefully, we've shifted by pi. So that's 3 pi over 2 minus pi. Is that true? Negative pi plus 3 pi over 2 is pi over 2. This is seeming like it's working. Oh, okay, sorry. I was mixing myself up because I was thinking this was pi over 2 and I wasn't expecting it to land on a tick mark, but this is not. This is 3 pi over 2. So pi over 2 really is here. So this is pi over 2 negative 8. Okay, so again, since I was confusing my own self on that, let me make sure you guys are okay. So I know that from this point, if I go over a quarter of a period, 3 pi over 2, I should hit equilibrium. So from negative pi, if I go over 1.5 pi, 3 pi over 2, I should end up at half pi. So from negative 1 plus 1.5, I should get to 1/2 pi. And then I just have to label one more point carefully. So the approximate is I go over 3 pi over 2, which is 2 tick marks, and that should take me to my minimum. The exact part on that would be to say from pi over 2, if I go over 3 pi over 2, then adding them up, pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2 is 4 pi over 2. So this is at 2 pi negative 20. Okay, so there's labeling carefully. For the rest of them, we can just do approximate. So over 2 tick marks, over 2 tick marks, and we can do it this way as well. If we go over 2 tick marks, we'd hit equilibrium, and then minimum, and then equilibrium. So again, you don't have to have every point perfectly labeled, but you should be able to figure out a maximum and an equilibrium. And this is a pretty good messy example. Oops, got a little wonky. Okay, so slightly messy version, but there's a sketch on that one. And then the next one, I see vertical stretch by 30. So the amplitude is 30. I see horizontal compression by 2, which means the period is 2 pi over 2, which is pi. I see, being really careful here, factor out the 2, I see a phase shift of positive pi over 2. So we're going to go right pi over 2. And then it looks like my equilibrium is going to be up at 40. So we're going to start with the middle y values being 40, and we're going to go up and down 30. So the top should be at 70, and the bottom should be at 10. So I'm going to put my x-axis way down low. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we'll just make them 10. So if this is 20, 40, 60, 80. Okay, so we said the middle was at 40. So there's equilibrium. And then we go up to 70, so amplitude is 30. And then down to 10. And again, that's using our amplitude of 30. Okay, so there's the vertical stuff. I'm starting with a sine wave. We'll just draw a littler chunk of it. So I'm making it really tall. I'm shifting it up a fair amount, and then I'm scrunching it. So instead of this being at pi and negative pi, it'll be at pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. But then I shift it right pi over 2. So let's follow our nice point 0, 0 and see if we can get a starting point. Where does this equilibrium point land? Okay, so vertical stretch doesn't change 0. Horizontal compression doesn't change 0. Shifting will change the x value to pi over 2, and shifting up will change the y value to 40. Okay, so pi over 240 is my starting point. If my period is pi, I'm going to go ahead and make tick marks every pi over 4, quarter of that, pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and pi over 2. Okay, so there's my tick marks. So pi over 240. Okay, so we're starting at equilibrium right here. That was this point. There's no flipping or anything. I'm just making it taller, shifting it up and over. So I should still head up to maximum. So from here, a quarter of my period is going to be to 3 pi over 4. And then another quarter of my period is going to knock me back down to equilibrium. And then I can do the same thing, head at the opposite direction, down to the bottom, back up to the middle, to the top, to the middle, to the bottom, to the middle. Okay, so again, that 2 tick marks thing only is going to work if you're really careful about deciding how far apart your tick marks are. So I try and be really deliberate about making my tick marks a quarter of a period, and then I can be consistent in how many tick marks I have to move. Okay, so that was a good messy one. Hopefully these are going well. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.